Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Helix Loop. This week has been super interesting, right? So last week I was doing some analysis on how do we understand what's happening in the AI era, what's happening in the AI space. And I was working with a client and I thought, how can we create a roadmap for the next few years when AI is going at an exponential pace, right? So frankly, if you want to create a multi-year roadmap, it's patently false, right? Because we don't know exactly where AI capability will look like, what's going to happen, and where will it go. So to better understand it, I thought let me kind of go a bit of a deep dive, go deep, and really understand what's happening with all the different AIs that we are seeing, right? And there's been a whole bunch of AIs that's been coming through, the models have been coming through, and how do we understand it better? So let's look at this, right? This whole year has been an unbelievable explosion of acceleration of AI. And there was a sense around the middle of the year that there will be a stop. The scaling laws will not work, AI will not improve at the same level, and there'll be a challenge. But what's actually happened is we've had Grok 4.1, we have Nano Banana Pro and Gemini 3, and then we had Claude Opus 4.5. In the last week of November, the last 2 weeks, there's been an explosion of this content and explosion of these new models. And it's been amazing. I mean, I love Nano Banana Pro. If you looked at my previous video or if you look at my previous article, I walked through into what it means for visual intelligence. But what I want to do today was to kind of step back and say, hey, yes, we are having to see this. What does it mean from AI strategic point of view? How do we make this work? How do we design for a context when it's changing fundamentally at an extremely rapid pace, right? So let's look at what's actually happened, right? Around the start of the year, we had about 32,000 to 100,000 tokens as a context window. What it means is like that's the amount of context you can put in before the AI starts to get really confusing and doesn't make any sense. Now we have reached 200,000 to a million tokens, right? Video generation was starting to happen. There was some exciting stuff, and then Sora came, but then Gemini launched VO, and that's totally changed everything, right? With VO, we've really got a amazing ability to kind of create any kind of video we want here, right? So that's really production 4K quality coming up. Voice 11 Labs is a good example, has gone from like nice, amazing to like 60, 70 languages. And then what is really fascinating, right? So GPT-4o was like the top of the game. And if you take this as a class and you say, okay, GPT-4o is a really strong, capable model, and you take that model and say how do we look at that model and the cost. It was costing $30 a million tokens, right, last year. Now it costs $3 a million, right? Significantly low. And this is the other thing that we are seeing, right? We are seeing a real decline in cost. We are seeing a real increase in capability, and we are seeing a real decline in cost. And that's a super interesting and important conversation to have, right? This pace is really, really getting faster. 50x median price drop in a year is extraordinary. So at one level, we've got capability increasing. At one level, we've got cost decreasing. So in reality, one of the things that you can definitely say about your AI roadmap, that world-class will be cheap, right? If it's not cheap now, it'll be cheap soon. Let's take a specific example. Like if you're into Claude and if you're into Claude Code, and I love that, there has been such a lot of conversation and on Reddit and Twitter about how Claude is stopping people from working. You know, if you use Opus, which is the best model, you hit the limits very quickly. Sonnet is great, but again, it stops after a few times. I'm in the middle of my coding session, I'm in the middle of my strategic analysis, and it doesn't go forward. what Claude did, launched Opus 4.5, but they did like a 67% price drop, right? They said this is a better model and cheaper. And suddenly it works differently. Claude Opus 4.5 is my base model on my Claude desktop. And now it's onto Claude Code. So I can start to use it everywhere at a low cost. That's amazing. So that's what we are seeing. We're seeing a real decrease in costs. And again, that's an important part of how we look at our capability and how we look at our costs. So what's happening, right? We're getting there. We are able to see this. But really, what is the actual problem? What is the real problem that is stopping us, right? So the real problem that is stopping us, in my view, is actually not technology. It's organizational flexibility. Because what you'll see is that you'll have the next version of AI is coming through, right? But we're still trying to figure out how to use Copilot. We've got this next version of AI and the amazing speeds coming through. But what we're really seeing is, hey, can we actually like get a AI policy going and get some staff using? But I'm not really sure if it's actually beneficial. I don't see any benefit in it right now. Let's not worry about it. That's what we're hearing. That's what we are seeing. So the real challenge moves from technology or organizational capability. And I want to go much more deeper into it and how we actually do that. But reality is, the transformation is a different approach. So I'll leave you today with like a potential one way to think about this transformation approach, right? The transformation approach is the old way is like, we have a fixed roadmap, we have a fixed plan, but what we need to do is almost like an agile architecture, right? We think about vendor neutrality, and that's a very important thing because you want to kind of swap different models in. You want to adopt new models as they're coming. You can think of, hey, this challenge only requires this kind of model capability. So why do we need to pay for the new one? Let's use the old one, cut down our costs. And then we have to build learning cycles that go fast. So we have to really rethink how we do our AI architecture and really go through this process. So when you start using your roadmap, be very careful. Like think about the exponential growth and what it means. Happy to reach out, talk to me, but that's for this week. Talk to you guys next week.